Right, call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of the Republic, one nation, under God, indivisible. All right, got a few items on the agenda that we're going to move up under new business and old business. We'll move them up to personal appearances. So we have the Minot Area Council of Arts here. If you guys would like to start us off, you sure can.
This thing on?
Yeah, I think Jared.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, it doesn't do in the room.
It doesn't do it in the room, it does on the computer. Easy confusion, yeah.
All right, we are the new co-executive directors of my Council of the Arts. I'm Miles Barcombe.
I'm Tanya Bitko.
And we're doing our 18 Arts in the City events this summer, 9 downtown and 9 at the parks. We have posters here for you guys if you hold on to some of these. The schedule is all set. The City Band schedule was already set before we started, so those are all going on. Music concert's still happening. The Minot Swing Band is going to open for the 188th Army Band, and they're having on the 21st of July, they're going to have a jazz band and a rock band play out there. And then on July 28th is our finale, Chicago Funk. Have Atypical out there, and it'll be a good time. In the past, the park board has a partner in this, and it seems like that's going to continue, which we love. And in the past, they've supported us with $5,000 per summer. We're hoping for that relationship to continue also.
Okay, any questions from any board members? Not, I guess I would look for
So do we move the money?
Yep.
It's okay. Well, I'll make a motion for the 5,000 to continue.
motion by Perry, second by Ken. Any further discussion at all?
How many events do you actually do in
The parks.
9.
9 and all.
Yep. 5. It's every week.
We just got in here about a
month
month
ago.
and 3 weeks ago, so it's been a wild planning session.
We're trying.
Yeah.
And then we have some posters that I can just leave them.
That's perfect. Yep. Yep, that'd be great.
Excellent. Okay, well,
Anything else for us?
any other
Nope, we'll just do
discussion?
the vote.
We got to vote one last. We got to vote this first. So, Callan, please call the roll.
Hupta,
Yes.
Olson,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kitzman,
Yes.
Hammer.
Yes, motion approved. So, Ellie, you'll take care of.
Yep.
Give them the money transfer.
Yep, we and Callan will get it ready to
All
go.
right. Thank you very much. Up next, MI7 update. You'd like to go next? It's all yours.
Callan's going to queue up just a summary presentation of kind of where we're at here. Intent again here to just give you kind of a monthly update of progress related to both phases of MI6 and MI7 as they both touch your assets. So we'll just go to the second slide there, Callan. Give you a construction update. Not a whole lot to report right now, but the next slide really kind of summarizes the various phases, kind of where. So we've got this separated up between MI6, which is basically from the pool and west, and then MI7 is the pool and east and south through the zoo. Okay. So on the MI6 side, we've split that out into 2 separate phases. The first one is called MI6A. That's the tree removal. That piece of the project is complete. MI6B, we just opened bids on that last Friday, and we're awaiting to see what the joint board is going to choose to do there. On both MI6 and MI7, unfortunately, we got very limited contractor interest due to the size of the projects and the schedules associated with them. So we're running into a pretty tough bidding environment. Just for some context here, MI6 Two bidders on MI6. Low bid was 40% higher than the estimate on that one. MI7, one bidder, and as you might expect, 50% higher than the estimate. So the joint board has already met and rejected the bids on MI7, the flood control piece there. And with MI6, still kind of doing some evaluations to kind of see where we sit here. On the MI7 side of things, the tree removal contract is complete. The monument relocations, which is MI7B, that is basically complete, less the Teddy statue currently in place, and we're developing a foundation package to get to Matson Construction to build the foundation for Teddy in the final spot, and then we'll relocate Teddy that one time. MI7C, we talked about this previously. That was the utility relocation. Open bids on that, ultimately chose to reject. We've got some other work associated with zoo exhibits and some buildings that's going to be coming out for bids relatively soon. So the team is finishing up that bid package. MI7E, this was the one that was opened on the 10th of May, came in 50% high. So that was ultimately rejected by the joint board. We've got some other contracts in the work as well here. But just from a high level, this is the anticipated plan. We will be putting out the utility package for bid once again, because those utilities have to go in first. They're on the critical path for the overall project, and we're going to give the contractor more time to procure materials and to complete that work. Okay, so what that likely means in terms of schedule is that we're not going to be seeing, levees and flood walls being built until maybe late this year or into next spring. That's the honest assessment of what what the market is kind of telling us we need to do to get things back within budget here. So the work that we're thinking is going to occur this year would be utilities through the western part of Roosevelt Park, and potentially getting started on a couple of the zoo exhibits on the west side of Roosevelt Park as well. We're originally going to kick those into potentially next year, but with us kind of reshuffling the deck here a little bit, we've got an opportunity to get the North American cats and the bison. Right, guys? Okay, those two exhibits out for bid here relatively soon, and potentially get started on those. So there's still going to be a lot of construction activity. We're just sequencing the work a little bit differently to try and get better contractor pricing. Basically, if these projects continue to come in 40 to 50% over, we're in trouble budget-wise with the project. And ultimately, we have confidence that if we get a little bit better schedule for the contractors to work with, we're going to get better interest, and as a result of that, more bids and better market-driven pricing instead of darts just being thrown at the wall, seeing if it sticks. So that's kind of where we're at with regard to the various projects. I could probably jump forward 2 slides, Callan. Okay. Known concerns that we're aware of here. Access road around the pre-construction pile. We had one of our contractors go in and kind of tune that up a little bit. But with this new kind of development, with how we're going to be sequencing this work, we're going to repave this area because it's going to be like this for a little bit longer than what we had anticipated a month ago. So we're going to be getting a contractor in there to pave that to provide a more workable driving surface that doesn't take a bunch of maintenance. In addition to that, we became aware of an issue of the fencing around the pre-construction pile, and our staff and all. That's what we understand to be known concerns. This week, we are coordinating with zoo staff and with Jared's team as well to do some geotechnical drilling within the park and with the zoo as well. Basically, we have to verify soil conditions underneath all the structures, the 15 or so structures that we built, just to verify that we've got suitable soils. Begin construction on those. So really at a high level, President Hammer, that's kind of where we're at. I would take questions.
Any questions for Mr. Ackerman? Not, I appreciate your time and thank you for the update. And see you next month.
Sounds good.
So, All right, moving on. The next item on the agenda is the meeting minutes from our April 16th Park Board meeting. We entertain a motion to approve those. Moved by Ken, seconded by Mike. All in favor? Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. On to the bills. Looking for an approval of the bills in the amount of $781,141.76.
Motion to pay the bills. Second.
Motion by Mike, seconded by Ken. Any discussion at all? Not, Callan, call the roll, please.
Hubda. Olson.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Hitzman.
Yes.
Hammer.
Yes. Bills are approved. On to the salaries, looking for an approval in the amount of $341,313.48.
So moved.
Moved by Perry, seconded by Cliff. Any discussion at all? Callan, please call the roll.
Hubda.
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Hitzman.
Yes.
Hammer.
Yes. Salaries are approved. On to financials. Callan, anything to add?
I will just add with John, we got a report from Ashley from our point of sale that golf income is up about 1,000 at April last year. Selling more. Looking good so far.
When did we open the golf course last year? Anybody have, we open about the same time or we open earlier? Or? Last year, so, okay.
Possibly.
Okay,
It helped the first weekend we were open. We were the only game in town and it was full.
yep. Yeah, it's good. Any discussion or any questions for Callan at all? If not, we'll move on to department reports. Jared, you're up first.
All right, Park Board President, Commissioners, just a couple updates on my submitted report, outdoor family rec area. Dig It Up started this week on phase 2 of that project. We will start meeting bi-weekly next Tuesday. Again, if things run smoothly, we anticipate hopefully opening that by the middle of the summer, again, if conditions go well. And then on one of our capital improvement items, the event trailer, Ellie did secure additional sponsorship last meeting and this meeting. So that funding on the event trailer. So we're finalizing that and we'll pick that on Friday. And then we'll get that in the system and start getting it ready for events. Before I move into maintenance fund request, I'll answer any other questions on my submitted report.
The event. Go ahead, sorry.
So, that event trailer, so it's being, we had planned on getting it wrapped. That's what it's
Yes, yeah.
currently being wrapped right
President
now.
Hammer, Maddie is working on a wrap right now.
Yeah, it's not being, we'll purchase it, but the wrap is being designed, so we're ready to go once we have it in hand. But our goal would be have it as wrapped as soon as possible. But
Own it Friday.
We'll own
Yeah,
it
we'll-
Friday, get
Yeah.
it ready to go for.
Okay, perfect.
that's in thanks to a donation. Our original donation ended up changing, and Minot Junior Golf got wind of that, and they came in and got us a check for $20,000. So once again, a huge thank you to Minot Junior Golf for what they do. And you know, we're looking at ways that this trailer can be used for their events as well. So it's a win-win for both parties. So we're excited to get it out there and in use for the parks.
That's great. So, anything for Jared before we move on? Okay, Jared, keep on trucking.
Okay, I think I'll move on to the maintenance fund request for South Hill Softball Complex water line. Can you pull up the diagrams, Colin? Do diagram 4 first. Yeah, perfect. Again, I tried to put a narrative in the sheet in front of you. I'll kind of go over the board here. So 2 weeks ago, we had a water break right here, kind of by the Dream Catchers field. Of course, it goes right under both the paths. We had a contractor start working on it. They fixed it, initialized it, it broke, fixed it, initialized it, broke, fixed it again, and it broke. So it broke 3 times after we started fixing it. So at that point, we said, we halted the fix. So we started looking at options. Pretty much all this blue water line is all about 50 years old. So we decided to look at the other options. So, excuse me, the option 4 that you're looking at was gonna come off 16th Ave here, to the main water line under the road, connect here to the middle, put a couple gate valves in, remove an old meter pit, and then continue the new water line to here where the box fed the East End concessions and irrigation. So, and then that allows us to abandon all this, the old water line. So, looking at that one, again, with what we'd already put into the project, total repair and that would have been looking at about $88,000. Well, then we started looking, then the only other old line would be from here to here, which runs all the irrigation on this end. So then, if you want to kick to diagram 5. So we kind of did the same thing. So again, coming off 16th, run a new water line to the middle, take the water line from here, which call it the old meter pit, all the way down to our irrigation building, and then back and bore it straight down to our concessions building. So now we would abandon about 75% of the old water line. So the only old water line left would be from, past the concessions into the irrigation over in the East End. So again, all that to pay the $19,000 for what we've tried to patch for the new water lines, paving and everything. We're requesting $125,587.50 from the maintenance fund.
And because of the timeline of this and the short time frame, we'd have to declare for emergency to forego the bidding process.
Right. Because right now, we do not have any water from here, from what was done in the west end with the new building. We don't have any water all the way east. And there is really no good way for any temporary water right now.
And there's
So,
restrooms in that concession stand too then?
Yes, the concession stand, and then restrooms are right here.
No.
So right now, we have porta potties going on that end.
What about the new hills that have water?
Yep, that's fine. That's all. So again, everything new is here that we did with the building. So unfortunately, we looked at putting new lines in, but with the budget crunch with the new building, we didn't. That's why with this, it's a large dollar, but we eliminate 75% of those 50-year-old water lines. So we have to do something. So, but we need to, this might be the best option for us. And then we can hopefully not have to worry about it for quite some time.
Does doing that 75%, that more pressure and so on, is that gonna put more pressure on the old 25 remaining? I mean, is that something we should be looking at right now instead of?
We could, Commissioner Hovda. Again, it goes in, so basically then it would go into a new, I'm not the plumbing water line person, but so we'd be it would put the same size water line down. But would the flow be better? Probably. Could it do something? Maybe. But again, this is coming. We just got this finished up this afternoon. So I really didn't have the time, but we can definitely look into it because it's going to take time to, get this all laid out.
Well, if we can do the 75, be able to do that 25 if necessary.
Yep.
Without digging.
Yeah, we will, Commissioner Hovda. Again, you can see these little things. These will be, we're removing a big meter pit here. These would be gate valve areas. They might be bore pits where you have to drop the bore machine in so it can bore the line. But those would be covered up and after we're done. So we would recommend going with option with diagram 5.
And the money just comes from the maintenance fund? I mean, that's
And
why
I'll
it's
let
there,
Callan
obviously.
talk about what's in the maintenance fund.
Yeah, so we built up a maintenance fund for the auditorium and all the kind of rec things that came over, and it's built up to about $450,000 right now, and so that's where we request that this comes from, and then look at trying to build that back up with the 25 budget.
I'd make a motion then that we go with the option 5 for 125, 587.50.
I'll second that.
Motion by Perry, seconded by Ken. Any discussion?
I may need to add something to my motion.
Funding, so we don't have to go through the bidding
Oh,
process.
and
Declare an emergency.
and I declare an emergency.
That
You have a
easy?
big stick.
Are you good with that?
Is the second good with that?
You can do that.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Yeah. So,
This doesn't matter with we have to get it done, but what's the disruption going to be for the softball this summer?
Again, hopefully we can get this done in a reasonable amount of time. I mean, they were there the next day trying to fix the water break. So depending on how much stuff they have to order, I mean, they'll get on it right away.
Are they going to be able to still do softball while this is
Oh
going
yeah,
on?
it's
So-
everything's still running.
Okay,
Unfortunately, we just don't have water to the east end.
but when they're doing construction, they'll still be able to do
Yeah,
softball.
yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's a big machine, but you'll still be able to do everything on the fields. This is kind of in the mall way, and
Got it.
yes.
so Callan, with the maintenance fund, are we building that up a little bit each year anyways?
We had, I believe, going into 23, we had stopped because we had built it up to about 500.
Okay.
And then we've slowly done a few small things in the auditoriums. With this project, then we'll probably build it back.
This would be an item in the budget then.
To add
Fund
to
that
it.
back. Okay. All right. Any other discussion at all? Now we got a motion by Perry, second by Ken. Callan, call the roll, please.
Upda,
Yes.
Olson,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kitzman,
Yes.
Hammer.
Yes. Motion's approved. Anything else, Jared?
I do have a foundation one. I can do this now, or just wait till the foundation.
Let's wait to the foundation meeting
Okay.
to do that.
Good. And then I guess I can try to answer any questions for James, Tom, Steve, and Mike at this point. They will not be here
Oh
tonight.
no, you just did a pretty good job with plumbing, so.
Well, yeah. Definitely not stepping in for James, I'll tell you that. But I can try to answer anything out there.
It sounds like the golf is where are we at with the bathrooms at the golf course? The new bathrooms.
Yes, President Hammer, the bathroom will be open by the first week of June.
Okay.
We just got some inspections from the plumbing inspector from the city. Just waiting on a few other things. If we weren't so focused on getting the pool going, James probably could have finished up some of those things this week. But it'll be by the first weekend in June,
Okay.
maybe earlier.
Since you brought the pool up, what's the goal of having the pool open?
Again, staff's working on it. They're cleaning and probably they're going to try to start filling it today. Water samples will go in next week. And again, hopefully everything goes well and we'll be open June 7th. Splash pads were open last weekend. They'll continue to be open depending on weather. But the pool, again, if everything goes good right now, we should be open June 7th is the goal.
Staffing at the pool adequate?
I'll let Ann speak to staffing at the pool when she gives her report.
Good.
Well, I can answer that.
Yeah.
Well,
You can leave us in suspense for a couple minutes if you want.
Cliff's not gonna breathe.
You gotta wait.
I
So,
don't have my WSI, don't call me.
Yeah.
No, actually, I've got an abundance of lifeguards this year. I knock on wood, but we've got 23 lifeguards plus. Like I had more people apply to be lifeguards this year than players and scorekeepers. Kind of crazy year, but in a good way.
The deal works out, we should be able to keep it open as long as possible.
You heard it here first.
so
Whenever that Not yet.
Halloween.
Halloween, yeah.
Okay, in that case, you guys all might have to get your WSI.
Must be an election year.
Yeah.
So, all right, anything for Jared and his four other options he decided to add on to himself tonight? Okay, thanks, Jared. So we'll move on to Jeff in the zoo.
Only thing I've got to add is, as far as African Plains building, beaters, should be hooking up the new water line tomorrow. And then Rolac will get back out there and hopefully start getting footers dug, and next few weeks, hopefully we got concrete going in.
Great. Yeah.
Got any questions?
Anything for Jeff? Thank you, Jeff. Bob in Mesa.
Green. Just a couple things. Obviously, we're still at one rink right now. We started the Eck Rink plant at noon. Already dropped down 19 degrees on the slab, so we should be hopefully ready for ice painting on Thursday morning, which is our planned time frame. And that one takes about 10 days. It's relatively an easy rink compared to the Pepsi and the West rink, so we should be ready for our target date of Monday, June 3rd. Open back up, and then we can get back to our public skating and public hockey and normal summer schedule. So right now I'll babysit that overnight and working with Simcoe over the phone, but so far everything's running well. If you have time to stop on out, again, the lobby carpet is installed. Looks great in the West and Eck Rink lobby. Mesa staff got the bathrooms and shower rooms painted. Night and day difference. And then we're just waiting on the accessories to come in, all new shower heads and handles. James ordered those, so it should be in a couple weeks. And we'll get those taken care of. Mesa staff got all the kick plates taken off that were bad in the West rink. So when the maintenance staff gets kind of caught up with summer startup and they have some rain day projects, we'll get them in and get some of those boards replaced. And then as soon as that's done, we will start getting that rink ready. And then once the West rink is operational, we'll get the Pepsi rink shut down. So starting June 3rd, we'll have 2 rinks for the rest of the summer. And then we will have 3 rinks by first part of October. So other than that, we're just getting ready to do ice painting on Thursday and get that rink ready to go. So I'll answer any other questions you have.
Anything for Bob? Thank you, Bob. Shannon, you're up next.
Extremely busy. It's that time of year. Of course, we started some planting, and now there's a frost advisory in the forecast, so it never fails, but we'll get through it. Made really good progress in the zoo today. The athletic complexes are planted also. And then we brought some planters up to Mark for his big weekend coming up. So that was an addition. I think that was a good addition. Yeah, thank you. Really busy with athletics, of course. Region 6 baseball this week, moving right into WDA. So Corbett and Hoven are going to be busy. And then WDA tennis coming up. So Hammond will be hopping. Hopefully the rain will hold off and they can be outside. So everything's going good. Most of the staff is back. I'm waiting on a couple college students. They'll take a couple days off and then hopefully be started up next week with us. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Anything for Shannon at all? Thank you, Shannon. Yeah. Troy, you're up next. Forestry.
Well, I just finished up about 4:15 with Hess up by the hospital, a real good volunteer group that I've got the chance to work with for 2 years in a row, and they did a really good job. We got 15 other trees that he helped us buy of the 25. We'll be doing the other 10 up at the Hyatt House Park. I don't know what the name of that park is off.
Highlands.
Is it Highland? Okay.
Yep.
That was close. Hyatt Highland, right. But, yeah, we planted them up there where they had some dieback for some ones that the contractor planted. And then it is Emerald Ash Borer Awareness Week, so don't move firewood.
All right. Perfect. Tom, you slid in just in time.
Got the Region Class B tournament, fast pitch tournament going on. It looks like DLB and Renville County will be in the finals tomorrow. Have had a lot of softball, obviously, this spring, with Minot North being involved almost every day except Wednesday. Well, even Wednesday we've had games. And then the building's been real busy with events and weddings, birthday parties. Going good.
Sounds good. Anything for Tom? Okay. Ann, you're up next.
Just like everybody else, busy getting ready for the summer. Currently putting the baseball, softball, t-ball teams together. I was surprised when I looked at the numbers. We're up about 12 teams from last year, so still looking for a little bit of staff to help with that. Some umpires for the youth, but other than that, have all the staff hired. A lot of new people, but that's always good. So, like we said, the pool is scheduled to open June 7th, and then we're looking to start all our summer programs a week of June 10th.
Okay. Anything for Ann? No, thanks, Ann. Mark, you're up next with tennis.
Buzzing. Also, where's the
Together too, working on rules. Those build up also. Try not to monopolize.
Yeah, great. Okay, any questions for Mark?
Mark, on your summer camps, 150 kids, you have to have some.
Yeah.
As long as it's not water.
Two or three. Typically, losing. They get 3 or 4.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. We'll move on to new business. We got 2024 bond resolution. Callan?
So this is just the final resolution that we need to approve for the paving district funding. We're approving it, or requesting to approve it at $2,099,000 at 2% interest. It's essentially going to act like a line of credit, and we'll just do draws on it as we need, and then whatever our totals come in at, I believe all of them combined, we're going to be right around 1.6, 1.7 million. Plus we come into some big changeovers we shouldn't need for that. So, it is a 15-year, I believe, 15-year loan. So, if you have any questions on that, yeah, I can answer.
Okay.
Right. And then they say it also works out well for us on the interest that if we don't take all of the money right now, and then a couple of months that we're just holding it, we're not paying it. It saves us some money in the long run.
Okay.
Yep. Definitely.
So you'd be looking for board approval for this?
Yep.
Correct. So, all right. What are the wishes of the board?
I would move we approve $2,099,000.
Yes.
At 2%. for 15.
Yep, got a motion by Cliff. Seconded by Ken. Any further discussion at all? Yeah, Callan, call the roll.
Hovda.
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Kitzman.
Yes.
Hammer.
Yes. Motion passed. On to old business, indoor facility update.
All right, so as we all know, we've been kind of looking at the indoor turf space since our board retreat in February. I wanted to share early estimates just for the indoor turf space, and this is a very preliminary estimate, but it would be right around the $16 million mark. That would be for a square footage turf of 29,000 square feet. Just for comparison, a football field is 52,000 square feet. I would compare that 29 for visual purposes. That's closer to about a hockey rink size if you compare it to that. That's just the preliminary. So as we get further in, that number is gonna vary from the planning stage for us. We're still talking with the hockey boosters about what their thoughts are in a fourth rink. They haven't come to a decision as an organization yet, but I think for our perspective, we need to continue to move forward with the indoor turf. One thing we need to keep in mind is the logistics of this facility. We might not be ready to move on a fourth rink yet, whether hockey boosters or not. We don't know that at this point. But when you look at the setup of the facility, ideally for future, you would want that next to the west rink in the plan. So we don't really have an answer for that yet, but I want us to keep that in mind as we move forward, that if they're not ready to move with that, we probably want to think logistically about holding that spot or getting that shelled in so we would have the turf space on the end of the building. That's all going to be in the planning with JLG. So my recommendation is we would make sure that we're taking that into account as we move forward. So I will hand it over to Callan right now. He'll kind of go over some of that half-cent sales tax information with you guys, and then I will talk about our plan moving forward from this meeting.
All right. So at least the top number on your screen is one that we've talked about before with using the 2023 annual sales tax numbers. We can kind of expect somewhere around $6.6 million as our income at a half-cent sales tax. The subsidy that we're currently doing on the Zoo Mesa soccer and auditorium and ball fields is $3.3 million. If we were to just take that out of our general fund operation and fund it through tax, it would be a reduction of 14.16 mils. Using the number Ellie had at $16 million, I used like a 6% interest. Our bond advisor says if we were to look at funding today, we'd probably be in that 5 to 5.25. So the 6 is definitely conservative for us. It would be a little under $1.4 million, which would leave us a 1.9 million to operate the facility or look for further tax reduction, or if we are looking at the shell of that fourth rink, additional money that we could push towards a larger revenue.
Sure.
In kind of, looking at the calculations, if interest is to fluctuate by 1%, it is about $100,000 change in the payment, as well as a increase is another increase of $1 million is about another $100,000 increase in our annual. We're looking at $20 million bond instead of 16. We're probably going to be at like 1.8 million at that same 6.
Our annual loan payment.
Annual loan payment.
Remind me how we got the 2% on this? Was that this? There's a state
On the last one?
For the last one?
Yeah.
Last one was a 2% for the Bank of North Dakota, which is only available for us for basically parking lot.
I got you. So we can't mix and match with it.
That's
What if-
all
Unless state
infrastructure.
legislator changes anything on that funding would.
Does the number that we got for the building, does that not include parking?
That includes site improvements. I think we'll get that number when we're farther down the line. So I don't want us to get set on $16 million at this point.
Yeah. But there's there's probably not a way to peel some of that, whatever the number would be, at 2%. Like, could we
Possibly.
try and separate whatever would fit
do a
within
paving
the state
district.
program
Yes.
at 2%?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be an option. Mandan did something like that, I think. With
Yep.
yeah, that would be an option. I think the site improvements were like what, 1.2, 1.3 million dollars.
So Ellie, let's back up a little bit.
Yep.
The turf size. Can you go over those numbers again and what we'd be looking at?
Yep, the number that we are working on right now is 29,000 square feet.
29,000 square feet. And you said a football field is what?
52. And that's just kind of the number that they drew on from, if you would compare it to one shell to the other shell, that was the number they came up with a walking track around the top.
Okay.
So my recommendation from this meeting, we'll set up a meeting with JLG to not start the planning process, but keep the planning process going. We would meet with our turf user groups and kind of assess the needs and compare to what we discussed in 2022 when we originally did the indoor facility study. JLG will sit through those meetings as well on working on drawings and renderings to put out to the community and to you guys as we move forward and kind of assess where we're at. We'll continue our conversations with hockey boosters to know if they feel like this is the time they would like to move on something. If it's not, then we have to look at the whole game plan of logistical sense of the whole project. The other thing that we'll be looking at with JLG, as well as just contacting the park districts that we know with turf space, is looking at those operating costs. So we know what the estimate for the building would be, but what is it going to take for us to run this facility, the employees to operate it, heat, all of those things. So definitely taking those in account as well. Other thing we'll definitely research is if we decide to go the route of the half-cent sales tax, just making sure that we know exactly what that route would look like with the possibility of a special election or tacking it on to a new election, and making sure we would have all of our ducks in a row if we decide to go down that route. So those are the things that we are looking to do as staff. I'm open for questions or suggestions from you guys as the board, but that's kind of the path that we're laying out at this point.
Okay. Any questions or comments from any board members? Yes, I would say I think we're going down the right path. I mean, I think we need to do a lot of our homework, and I think the operating costs is going to be the big one too that we need to
Absolutely. Yep.
have a good idea on, and as well as meeting with the turf users to see if this meets their needs or fills some of their needs, so we don't want to build something that's not going to be usable, right? So, which I think it will be very usable. So, anything else? Anybody else?
The turf size, I think, personally, I think it's small. I think we need to bump that up myself. I mean, you said, I look at, I guess you have to look at the ice rink size. You said 29,000 square feet is?
That's kind of the square footage that they based on what that other shell would be at this time. But that's why we're going through the planning process, is if we think that's too small, then we bump it up and look at the numbers.
I mean, I know adding size and square foot adds cost. I understand that, but I also look at it as Justin was saying, is that if you're going to build something, then do it right. And I'm envisioning a little bit bigger turf space to, make sure it's utilized properly. I know it's going to cost more money, but if we have the funding, as we look down the future, I think that's the best way to do it. But I guess that's my opinion on the size.
Yeah, and I think as we dive into that planning, especially with JLG that has so much experience in this, I'm a very visual person, so looking at facilities that they've dealt with or facilities throughout the state and comparing them and sizing and pricing and things like that, I think will be extremely helpful as we move forward. But as we've heard from, I feel like anybody who's built a turf space, especially indoors, you can't build it big enough. So obviously the cost is going to be a huge factor in that, but I think that it definitely needs to be something that we're taking into account as we move forward with it.
That just gives you a visual of the curve over there. Everybody
Yep. Because I think,
Their current size is 17.
because I think a regular rink is 17 and an Olympic, from just research for comparables, like 19. Yeah. Sorry, Perry.
No, it's all good. I mean, you said if we decide to go down this route, when do the 5 people who sit in these seats have to decide that we are going to go down this route? Like, when do we need to make a motion? When do we need to vote on or give direction through a motion to staff to say, yeah, start meeting with the other political subdivisions and start picking out dates for special elections? I mean, because we can talk about, and we have at length talked about all these different projects. Well, none of them are going to happen unless we pass a half-cent sales tax. And by we, I mean our community. So, I mean, we can do all this work, but we need to know if we're going to have the money to do it. And I understand we want to go to people with a plan, which I feel like we have a plan. You know, we can squabble about how big it could be, and I want it to be as big as possible as well. I feel like we're just continuing to tread water and just kind of not go for it. Like, and I don't know, but I don't know the answer to what going for it looks like. If it's a motion, if it's getting something out on a calendar, if it's in the general election, if it's a special election like the school district did. So I don't know what I'm really saying. If this is a question or if it's I mean, you know what I mean? I just, all this stuff is great, and we're going to go and get more renderings and drawings, but we don't know if we can do them. And I think we need to ask people if they want it done. And if they say no, well, then that's fine. Then we can stop all this work. And if they say yes, well, now we know that it's a half cent. We know what the numbers are. We know what we can do size-wise. You know, I mean, if we go to the public with, you know, this general idea of indoor space, which every time we've asked, that's been the number one answer is we want space. We want indoor space. Okay, we can do that. We can lower your property taxes. What's the percentage?
It's 14 mils.
14 mils.
14 mils. I want to say it was about 30%.
And it's like 31,000 right on a 250,000, whatever the numbers were. I mean, this is a good package. I think it's something people will be interested in, and I want to get it out there. I talk to people all the time about it now. I mean, they're excited. I know I'm talking to probably more like-minded people, but I haven't got a no yet. I've gotten a couple of why in the world haven't we done this a long time ago. So I don't know. I don't know what you guys think about it, but yeah, I want to get cranking on this.
I would agree with you, Perry, but I think we need to have our operating costs nailed down. I think we need to be able to sell this package. You know, if this is what we want to do, here's what it's going to cost us. Here's what we feel it's going to cost us to operate it, and this is how we're going to do it. So I think we're close. I mean, I think the operating costs are going to be a big. I mean, the people I talk to, that's the question. How much is it? I have no doubt that we could build this, but how are we going to be able to operate it, and what's it going to cost? So, I think once we get that piece, I think I'll be ready to march forward. I mean, I'll be ready to.
When will we have that?
This would be my question on.
I mean, is it next month? Is it 6 months? Is it?
I guess when I look at this, I would like to have these working with JLG and have that plan in place as we move forward. I want a solid number that we can bring to our community as this is all that's going to be in this facility, and this is the cost that it's going to be, and these are ideas for operating costs. I would like to present it as a package to them of this is what we envision going towards. We know what our estimates are for saving, but I want to be able to lay that all out. We can be talking about it right now, absolutely, because public meeting, we are talking about it. I want to be able to lay it out as this is what we want for the community. These are the people we've talked to. This is what it's going to cost. This is our estimated for operating costs. I'd like to be able to lay it out there after that is done. If you guys are thinking otherwise, I take my direction from you guys. So,
Well, I agree with everything that Perry said, and I think we have been talking about it, and I think, when we get into our public entities, we always want to look at fancy drawings and talk about it, but we have to get it out there sooner or later. And I agree with you, we need to look at what our operating costs are gonna be. And I guess I would sit there and say, if we can, I know this might be not gonna be able to reach this goal, but I'd say if we have an operating cost and everything by our next board meeting, then I can wait another month. But it just seems like it's another month. It's another month. We go down the line. So my question is, if we move forward, like kind of like Perry was saying, is that what are the rules on it? Can we start getting the ball rolling about an election and sales without putting without putting a monetary value to that? Like, what do we have to do to get this going? What's the process? I mean, can we start that process, or giving you guys the direction to start the process, knowing that we're going to have an operating cost, the final cost of the facility? Is that putting the cart in front of the horse, or I mean?
Are you guys asking us to get a date for a special election? Is that what you guys want?
Yes. I think, well, I can't speak for Mike, but I think the question I'm hearing is what do we need to do to get that going? Is there things we need to do?
We'll have to sit down with Ward County to have that conversation further. If that's what we want as a date, then we have to sit down and get that blocked in.
Yeah, and another election in November, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, the general's in
in November. So is that,
we could do a special?
is that a goal, or is it a goal to have a special election before that?
I mean, heck, I would argue that the constituents may vote for this with no project. We can lower property tax and shift the funding of this operation by that number of mills to sales tax, which is more of a consumption, right? So we're getting some dollars from outside of Minot. Yeah, I would argue that it's beneficial that way, even without a project. So I'm not so worried about. I mean, obviously, we want to have what we're going to do, which is going to include this. But even without that, I think there would be an appetite for it too. So,
And I think we would need to work with the attorneys on how the referendum gets written too, because they're going to want all of those details on how we're going to use that money that's put in that. So whatever they're going to vote a yes, no on, we spell out what we're going to use those dollars for. So I know Pete currently has the one that was sent out for the, I can't remember the name of it, the Mark Project. The Mark Project. He has that one, and so he's currently working or will be working on some tweaks to that, and then we can bring that whenever that's ready. I don't have any estimate on when that will be done, but
doesn't Williston do it this way?
They fund their entire park district this way.
So there's a template for it then.
yeah, they're on a full 1% that funds their whole park district.
Okay.
Well,
Go ahead, Cliff.
I'm inclined to agree with the other. We do this, miss. Pretty well sure you're not going to get a big project. I think as much information as be is really important. Feedback that the school board has dealt with is transparency was not totally there. This information that didn't get delivered was known by the businessman school district in 2017. I talked to him. He said, this is what's going to happen. There's going to be school closed. We're even going to look at school closing on base. I absolutely support that. I think that's done in time. But the handling on the numbers has hurt the school board. I've talked to numerous people who say they are not voting for any on the county commission or the school board money. I think we got to be as accurate as we can. It takes a little bit longer. I think it's and the potential, and I don't know where it's happened, potential for the elimination of property taxes ballot. If that happens, personally, I think if it ends up in the ballot, I think it's going to be defeated, but I don't know that. But if that changes the whole equation for us also, because we're talking about eliminating property taxes, but that ballot could eliminate property. That's a big factor. I would support this project wholeheartedly. I support building and doing that, and I think we're on the right track if we do it correctly to sell lowering the property. That's a big item in people's minds, probably the biggest one politically right now. I don't think we can jump in and say, we think we're going to eliminate property. And we know we will, but we don't know how much. It's a tough decision because we'd like to get rolling, but
Well, we don't know how much. We'll never know how much we would drop that property tax number for the park district, though, right? Because I mean, that's going to be reliant upon what the sales tax collection numbers are every year.
Well, we'll have to estimate when we put in our budget what we think that amount is going to be.
So we have
And so-
history to go off of on that.
Right. So we will have to make our educated guesses
Sure.
on what we think it's going to be, and that will come when the property tax gets lowered each year. And then
isn't
we'll
there
have to
a
deal with
direct
sales tax
relationship
fluctuation.
between how much sales tax is collected and what's our ability to lower property tax? I mean, you estimate the sales tax, but you do have a history, within a smaller range.
We have, I mean, yeah, that we think, I have an estimate that the sales tax collection should be right around in that $6 million range total. And so that number is what we would use to budget off of and make sure that we can do all of the operations and debt payments. And then we can, lower the general fund collection based off of that. But
It is 14 mils on roughly 30. That's a significant selling. I really think it is. I think we need more information, but not delay it till next year or whatever. Fall election also is a huge question. I don't want to be too careful, but I want this to go through not on something that's too big to deal with. I think people will support it if we present it right and really good trend. But it's supports these.
Well, I'm not advocating not being transparent either, but I am advocating not waiting. I remember your predecessor, Ellie, saying that when he would talk about some of these projects with groups, it would say, get it done before my grandchildren have grown up and can't use them. Like, the longer that we wait to get some stuff going, I'm sure we can't get everything going, but I want to just make sure we've got stuff that can be going concurrently together at the same time that can be being worked on, so that if we decide we're going to do this, we're 80% of the way there already on the work that has to be done. Not, now we're going to wait for this. We got the drawings. Okay. Well, now let's find out what these operational costs are. Okay. It's going to be this. Now it's June, July. Now it's August. Now it's September. Oh, we can't do anything for the general election. Nah, we don't want to do a special. So now we're into a year from now. Right. And I know it takes time, but we've taken a lot of time already, and people are asking for it. So the quicker we can put it to them with the information, I agree, the better. That's enough for me.
Well, what if we have this on our, see, what are we at now? We're in May or June. I suppose in June we'll be doing a reorganization of our board. Do we want to have this on our June agenda to potentially take action on?
I think it should definitely be on every agenda moving forward.
Sure.
I mean, I view this as the biggest decision we're going to make, or this board is going to make, whoever's on it.
I would agree with you. So,
I guess if I can speak on kind of our perspective on this, and I take my marching orders from you guys, please, I know that. Having some experiences with this, with the MARC project, I think education is the biggest factor in making sure that we take all the steps in moving this forward. I was under the understanding, and if I wasn't understanding it correctly, I apologize for that, but I was under the understanding that we were going to bring this, talking about it, planning, moving forward, it would be for projected spring of 2025 is what I had built up in my mind. So if that's not the case, then I think we can go back, we can speak with the county, we can bring back to you guys a date for a special election. In our conversations, it doesn't seem like there's room for a special election in 2024. And in my opinion, that's not enough time to get the education out there to people, in my opinion. If that's what your guys' wishes are, we will come back with that in June. We will have everything we can have in that time frame to get the operating cost to you guys. I can talk to JLG tomorrow to figure out how quickly we can get it together. I don't think we've been pushing things down the road. I think that we have been working and doing diligently to get educated and find out the information. But if you want us to push harder, we can absolutely do that.
I don't know if what I said came off wrong, but I was looking at spring also.
Okay.
Probably, I mean, do I wish to be sooner? Sure. I was looking at spring for a special election if that's what we're going to go to. What I think I was saying is that what do we have to do to make sure we're ready by spring?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do we have to do? It doesn't seem like we are. You know,
Okay.
it just, maybe that's me, maybe you guys are. It just seems like like Perry said, we sit around here and going, let's look at this drawing, let's go around. I want to make sure that we are ready for that. And how do we have to get things ready? I mean, do we know what we're supposed to do yet? Like meeting with the county, how do we get this going? Maybe you guys do. Maybe Pete, it sounds like there's a lot of work to be done before that, but don't get me wrong. I think you guys are doing the work, but I just want to be ready to go by spring. And yes, I think we have to be transparent. We have to have the money, the costs out there, what it's going to be. But people I've talked to, they said they want this done. They want this done. And I'm at the point now where okay, we're going to give you a facility that we think is a good facility. We got a good economic plan for it. It's in your lap, and then let it go. And if it doesn't pass, then we are just going to continue on funding what we have right now.
Mm-hmm.
We also need to get a really good message out there. Almost now, building our goal. Yes. Our building are actually going to vote for this. Do that. So we need the message, strong message.
I may be coming off a little unfair as well, in that I don't live the park district every day like you guys do, right? And staff, right? I see it, at this meeting when I'm talking about out there with people about it, when I see the emails and what's coming. So I don't want it to come across that nothing is happening on it. I know that's not the case, but I just want to make sure that I'm keeping my foot on the pedal moving forward.
Yep, absolutely.
Because that's what I hear from people. And everything gets more expensive the longer we wait.
Sure. So, well, Ellie, do you think it's doable for our next meeting for you to be able to give us a report on what is the process to get a special election?
Yeah, we'll make it doable.
Okay.
Yep.
And then we should have some more information by then and on operating costs and more. We know what the process is for the special election.
Yep.
So we can know, is there a time frame we need to follow, and we can start working backwards from there. Does that sound fair to all the board members? Okay. Anything else?
Mike, do you think we should look at costs?
I guess I'm going to do some research. They're building a facility right now at the base. I don't know if you guys have seen that. It's that turf. I'm going to have to see how big that is. I'm going to talk to Trev Albright out there and see because that looks like the size that I'm envisioning. But I just want to make sure if we're going to do it that we have it right. That if we have this indoor field that people are saying, that you can have your kids playing in the middle, and then in the corner you can have I envision in the corner you can have the softball doing some stuff in nets. You can have the baseball doing here. Just big enough. I know it's going to cost more money to do it that way, but I want to make sure that we do it right. And you know, and I think as we move forward with the, you know, JLG and the boosters, is that, you know, we have to make some decisions. I think that's what we talk about, because we got to make some decisions fairly quickly if we want to get this done in a timely manner. But like, if the boosters want that 4-sheet ice, are we married to connecting it, or do we take the field house and just separate it? Put the field house, I'm not an engineer, I don't know if it can be done. Can we move it 50 yards up down and not even have it connected? You know, because having that field house connected to the Mesa is giving the perception that it's another hockey thing. Instead of, you know, putting it away, you know what I'm saying, by itself. And, you know, then the boosters can go find ice and have that 4-sheet ice there. But just having that, you know, that's something to look at too, is that, can that be possibly done? But I think it needs to be a little bit bigger myself. But again, I could be totally wrong and then talked out of that. But I'd have to look at some more facilities to see. Because I'm like, Ellie, I need to see stuff, you know, and how big it is. And you said, I think we talked, you said the place in Watford that is small.
When Williston first built theirs,
Williston, okay,
it's a beautiful facility, but in relative to other things, it was small. Yeah,
the turf portion of it.
The chief portion. Yeah,
The
not
turf portion.
not the whole facility,
turf
the
portion,
turf
the turf
portion of it. Yeah.
That would actually be an interesting comparison to find out what that size is of at Williston's, that turf.
Well, and that'll be part of that planning process, is getting that. And I believe, don't quote me on it, but I believe JLG designed that facility as well.
Okay. Anything else on the indoor facility? Ellie, anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Other business? We have any other business at all? Not. We have we have one administratively approved alcohol permit for a Taylor Wackaduck. Entertain a motion to approve that.
Second.
Moved by Ken, second by Perry. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. On to the director's report.
All right, Jared already talked about event trailer, and thank you once again to Minot Junior Golf. Sponsorship sales, just so you guys know, those went really, really well. Kind of represented those this year. We'll just about end up offsetting our summer programming, movies in the park, and other special events. So that helps us with the overall budget. It's also a really great opportunity for our partners to get involved. We offer our billboards with their logo on it. We offer the radio ads and our social media outlets as well. Our plan next year would be to start that process in January, with the idea that we can actually have them in our summer brochure and push more promotions through that. Budget meetings have begun. Thank you to admin staff. I know that budget meetings always start right when everything gets crazy. Bob, you were actually crazy at that time too, because the Toros were still playing. So not overall, you got it. Okay. But it's a busy time of year. I know it's a hard time of year to get the budgets in, but we've started the operating. It's in Callan's hands now, and we'll move down the road with capital improvement costs and things like that, and bring you guys an update when we have that. We did hire a marketing intern for the summer. She will start next week, which will be helpful because Maddie, our marketing manager, will go on maternity leave that last weekend in June. So we'll have somebody to help us out with that. One thing that I am taking a hard look at for our budget is grant funding resources. I would like to find somebody that would be able to help track opportunities for us. I can find the time to write the grant, but having the time to track and make sure that we're taking advantage of all the opportunities for us is something a little different. So seeing what we have out there for opportunities for that. We have been meeting with our summer user groups. MACA was here tonight, and the farmers market. They've been in Oak Park for an extremely long time. Jared and I met with them a couple weeks ago. We've never had a written agreement with them, and it just would be nice to have something written down on paper. So Jared mocked something up and sent that to them. So hopefully we'll have something in place for that. Looking into summer, we are going to set up some part-time employee meetings, especially with the amount of summer staff that we have come on. They would come in, we'll do a presentation just a little bit about what the park district is, what we entail, have them meet our executive team, because there's many times I'll go to the pool with family, the zoo and things like that. And it's just nice for all of us to be able to put a face with the name. So we'll get that done. And And then staffing, I know they can speak a little bit more to their staffing. Ann has a full crew at the pool, but like she said, umpires, scorekeepers. And I think at some point with our budget, we're gonna have to have a conversation about coaches, which we've never had before, but the addition of 12 teams. How many coaches are you down right now So it's great to have that many additional teams, but when you don't have coaches to the teams, that ends up being quite the issue. And I know maintenance and horticulture did interviews last week and didn't have any actually show up for the interviews for that split position. So in some departments, we're doing really, really well with staffing, and in other places, what affects the rest of the country is still affecting us. So
Can I ask a question real quick? On the additional teams, is that girls fast pitch? Is that?
no.
So it's just like I sign my kid up and you just need more parents to say I'm going to coach.
That's exactly what it
and
is.
they're just not doing it.
I mean, yeah, some years, that we have 2 or 3 teams without coaches. This year we have a ton. So I've had to send out email asking. We'll see how it goes. We'll figure it out one way or the other.
No, that's right. And then there's the final thing, and this was just a quick conversation that Jared and I and Callan had. One thing, we have had a bit of vandalism already within the parks. We do have a lot of issues with dogs on leashes and things like that. So when we look towards the budget, one thing we might be looking for is security. We do try to hire park security in the summertime. They're just employees of the Minot Park District. It's not a position that people are lining up to fill. And it's one that is, that's somewhat of they're hired and then they don't stay for a very long time. So we are going to be looking at the possibility of contracting with somebody, just because I don't think it's not an issue that's going to go away anytime soon. And it seems to be an increasing issue. So as we look at the 2025 budget, that's something we're going to try and pull numbers on, because it's an issue that we've had, off and on over the years. So, but anyways, that's what I have for my report.
Any questions or comments for Ellie? Okay, moving on to the commissioner's report. Cliff, we'll start with you. Okay, Perry?
Ditto.
Mike?
To make it easier, go back to the indoor facility. The Williston is 13,000 square feet.
Okay.
Their turf is 13,000 square feet. No, I got nothing else to say. Just I know the summer's coming, and I know you guys are busting your butts. And again, appreciate everything that you guys are doing. And I know, like I said, with the busy season coming up, everything will operate good. And it's good to hear the work that you guys are doing. So thanks, everybody.
All you do. Starts in it. Hear that. Lucky.
Thanks, Ken. I have nothing. We'll keep the meeting moving along, so I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Mike. What do you want? Moved by Mike, second by Ken. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. On to the foundation meeting. Call the meeting to order. And we are. Callan, did you have a bill? We had a bill to add? Correct?
Yep.
Okay.
That now we're minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm skipping ahead here. Look for a motion to
moved.
approve the minutes. Moved by Perry.
Second.
Second by Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes approved. Okay, now Callan, go ahead.
So I have a bill from Lowe's Garden Center. Out to $5,005 for tree planting at do that truck.
One that has.
And then we have Jared.
Yep. I said that.
Okay. Yeah, just looking. Got money that is.
Okay, look for a motion to approve the bill for Lowe's.
Move to approve the bids.
Motion by Cliff, I have a second. Second by Mike. Any discussion? Callan, call the roll.
Hubda.
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Kidsman.
Yes.
Hammer.
Yes. Yep. Jared, you have a foundation request, correct?
Yeah, Park Board Foundation President and Commissioners. Again, it's on my sheet I handed out in front of you. There's 3 items for the Mesa that we're requesting foundation funds for. The first one is the Olympia ice resurfacer. The batteries started deteriorating this season. Before the end of the season, we had to park it because they were not functional. And then about that same time, the battery charger for that same machine, I'll say, had a power surge and fried. So we're requesting funds to replace the Olympia batteries that we did not have budgeted, and then also a new charger. So a combination of that is $26,576. The next item for the Mesa was during the cooling tower issues we had prior to the new install. Something that was brought up by one of the Simcoe techs was, again, we all know our water is not very good here for water treatment for our cooling tower. So we were asking to basically put a water treatment system on the Eck West plant and everything that we just replaced, comparable to what we put in on the Pepsi when we replaced that cooling tower, to help combat the corrosive water and extend the life of our cooling tower and anything the water touches. So our request for that is $5,373. And the last thing, again, working with the West Rink. Again, we'll be talking about this at a future time about replacing the boards and glass that are in that West Rink that are probably over 30 years old at this point. So as Bob and his staff went to take off kick plates and repair things, there's obviously quite a few areas that they weren't anticipating. So we were asking for $3,000 for materials to patch that back together to try to get us another year or two out of it before we can budget for boards and glass. So I'm requesting foundation funding for $34,949 for the Mesa Arena. And I'll let Callan explain where these funds are in the foundation.
Right. So we have a line in the foundation for the Mesa that is right around $50,000. There's money that came from the Mesa group to pay for the pledge loan that we had for the building of the third rink. And then when they were not able to complete that funding, and we ended up taking out a loan ourselves as a park district, and then that got refinanced into the bond that we did last year. And so those pledge money has just been sitting in the foundation since then and can be available, I believe, for the Mesa projects.
Yeah.
That would be what our request is.
If I can just add, the batteries are 7-year lifespan.
Thank you for that. I'd look for a motion.
I'd move approval for $34,949.
Motion by Perry. Seconded by Ken. Any further discussion? Callan, call the roll.
Hovda. Yes. Olson.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Kitzman.
Yes.
Hammer.
Yes. Motion's approved.
Thank you.
On to the statement. Callan, anything to add about the statement?
Oh, I have nothing to add.
Okay, any questions on the statement for Callan at all? We don't have any new business. We don't have any old business. I would look for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Ken, second by Cliff. All in favor?